105, nice, and it shows that, you know, for bug type Pokemon has like shellish armor type stuff. It's pretty cool. Now the problem is with that much attack, you want to be really fast, you want to be blowing up opponents, and 75 speed is going to make that rather difficult. So that's really the only problem with Mega Heracross. 80 on hit points, not only that either, and 40 on special attack is great because we know those stats are going elsewhere because it's not going to be doing anything special. Look at typing, it's a bug fighting typing. Here's where we run into problems. It doesn't matter how many defenses you have when you have a 4 times weakness to flying, and Talonflame is going to destroy you. Or any flying type Pokemon or flying type move. That Mega Salamence, let's do is Mega Ball, use an aerialated anything, and you're gone. Same with fire. Fire is common. Fairy is very common. Psychic, you still see that, and it's just going to be a very big problem because you want to be just doing your best to stay safe as a Mega Heracross and just try to one-shot everything because you have such a high attack stat. Looking at its resistances, fighting ground, bug, and grass, those are pretty good. Oh, and we also have dark. It's being covered up by the horn, right? And those are pretty good, but the weaknesses are going to be really tough with that lower speed. Hopping into Pokemon Showdown, we also see that Mega Heracross is ridiculously powerful because of skilling. Pokemon's multi-hit attacks always hit the maximum number of times, so it's always going to be a 5-hit. Moves like Pinnacle, 25, that becomes 125 base power. Rock Blast, 125 base power. Bullet Seed, 125 base power. So we're dealing with some of the highest attack in the game and some of the highest base power possible with not too much of an accuracy problem, like normally Megahorn. Megahorn has 85 accuracy, that's going to be kind of difficult. Pinnacle has a little more attack and only 95% accuracy, so you're going to land that almost every time. Then you still have close combat. Close combat's going to get stabbed, Pinnacle's going to get stabbed. We're just looking at ridiculous amounts of damage, and unfortunately with that close combat, it's going to lower your defenses, making you even more vulnerable, and it just comes down to that speed. So with the speed, you're going to have to run Jolly, or just accept, well, I might not be being the fastest Pokemon, and try to be as tanky of a Pokemon, and try to trade at least 2 Pokemon for, like, if you invest this full tank with those defenses and you're not getting hit by really strong super effective hits, you're most likely going to walk away with 2 KOs, or you can just kind of wait and hope that you're going to be able to break down some tanky Pokemon. You'd be running Adamant in this case, like so, and now you're just doing as much damage as possible and looking for just a lot of really good KOs. Now if you do want to make the most out of Mega Heracross, I cannot recommend Sticky Web enough. They have a Pokemon like Galvantula, a Pokemon like Shuckle setting up Sticky Web, and now this 139 speed isn't going to be as bad. Well, 139 level 50, gonna bump this up to level 100. It's not going to be as bad, and it's going to find you a lot of really good outspeeds because you're gaining a lot of effective speed stats from it, and now you're outspeeding almost everything. Now they don't have a chance to retaliate with that Bullet Seed against the Rock Blast, against the Pin Missile, and that right there is going to be very powerful. Now another really interesting thing is that Heracross gets Moxie. So Moxie, as its hidden ability, kind of outdoes Guts. Guts, when this Pokemon's status, the attack is 1.5 times, well gaining 1 stage of attack is like a 1.5 times boost, so you can actually run a different item like Choice Scarf, or if you're Mega Evolving, just have the Moxie. Try to bring in Heracross, clean up a low Pokemon, and you're getting that +1 attack boost, and Heracross is going to be very happy to be at +1 attack with its already monstrous attack. But at the same time, Heracross can do work as a Choice Scarf Pokemon, and it makes your opponent kind of guess, like, is this a Choice Scarf, is this a Guts, is this a Mega Heracross? So at least Heracross has a bit of deception in that way, and you know, Choice Scarf Heracross is still pretty strong. 125 attack, you're only getting locked into a move, 85 speed, so you're a bit faster, and when you're Scarf, you're going to be outspeeding 135 base speed Pokemon. So that's kind of where it's at. That's really good to have. And then you have Earthquake, Close Combat, Megahorn, Knockoff. Megahorn, again, 85 base power with 120. Close Combat, 120, but it's going to lower your defenses. If you're trying to be the fastest Pokemon, you can kind of Glass Cannon it up. Just Close Combat, hopefully you don't have a Ghost type Pokemon, get your Moxie boost, and you can sleep with Mega Heracross as long as you don't have too much stupid priority like Talonflame. So name of the game of playing Heracross is set up Sticky Web, remove Talonflame, and then it's a pretty easy win because you have good coverage, you have super high base damages, and really you're just going to be able to succeed really well. So that's pretty much all there is in Heracross though. You're just going to be high damage, try to find a way around your opponent's speed, huge beater Pokemon, and knock off, you know, that's just one of those really good moves as well. That's kind of it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. That's how you use Heracross in Omega Ruby and Sapphire. I hope you all have a nice day. Welcome back, Wolfpack Girls here. We're taking a trip from Calstone and bringing Zygarde with us. So Zygarde doesn't really have too many notable move tutors in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Pain Split is kind of the biggest one, so I might as well lead off with a Pain Split kind of strategy. And Zygarde does have some really interesting things about it. I know I use interesting a lot, but when you compare it to other Dragon type Pokemon and other Dragon Ground type Pokemon, it really has a lot of weaknesses and similarities. And for a legendary Pokemon, it's fairly underwhelming. Now when you look at it, defense 121, 95 on the special defense, and 108 on the hit points, it's fairly bulky. It has a good amount of bulk, and physically 108 on the hit points and 121 on the defense is pretty absurd. But then it only has 100 attack. 95 speed is still pretty good, but 100 attack. If you want to be offensive, that is not how you do it. Let's take a look at Garchomp. Garchomp, whoa, 108 hit points, 130 attack, and then less defense and special defense, but still not a crazy amount. That you're just going to outspeed with Garchomp. You're going to hit harder with Garchomp, and you're going to be slightly less bulky, but at the same time, Zygarde's still going to get very threatened by ice type attacks and super effective hits that won't KO. You know, you're not finding too many realms where Garchomp doesn't survive and Zygarde does. So you're just sacrificing a lot of power for not too much. And then when you also look at it, you have to play Zygarde tanky and set up, so that's where all that comes into. But then a Pokemon like Garchomp or even Dragonite, we take a look at Dragonite, still has good defenses, good hit points, has that multi-skill, which is going to get anything that even Zygarde wouldn't from all that tankiness, but still very high on the attack. Zygarde is going to need to set up, and Coil is kind of Zygarde's main setup option, but just when it adds that tankiness. So you can go max out the special defense, max out the hit points, use Coil, and then you're gaining attack stats. But after one Coil, even if like an adamant nature, even if you have some boost into it, you're going to be just behind a Garchomp in that your damage isn't going to be too much extra. And then you just use Earthquake and Crunch. Earthquake is going to have stab. Crunch is just going to let you hit everything. And you can also just go for Dragon Claw. Oh, wait, Zygarde doesn't get Dragon Claw. It doesn't have any hands. You don't really have any solid offensive options except for Outrage, but then if you use that, someone can bring in Fairy typing, and you're kind of in trouble. So overall, you're less of a Dragon type Pokemon than most Dragon types, and you're really just a bulky Snake Pokemon that can use Coil. Pain Split is going to be your only form of sustain. I was thinking, well, maybe you could like Rest Talk with Glare and Dragon Tail, and it could just be some kind of bulky gimmick Pokemon. Pain Split is going to be health, but if we look at that, let's just go Rest, Sleep Talk, and then we get access to Glare. So this is kind of like if Dunsparce evolved. We can view it as a Dunsparce evolution without stirring Grace in a way, and then Dragon Tail. I don't know, I'm just trying to cheer myself up on this one. So Glare, that's going to slow them down by paralyzing pretty much almost anything except for electric type Pokemon. Dragon Tail is going to force them out, and if you Sleep Talk Dragon Tail while they're paralyzed and slower than you just get free damage. You can hit them through Stealth Rocks, you can hit them through spikes or something, and then you're just being tanky and making it work. So you want to probably go full defensive investment on this and try to not get 2-hit KO'd while switching out your opponents and paralyzing them. Leftovers is going to give you a little bit of health sustain, and then Aura Break. Aura Break is weird because it's only meant to counter Xerneas and Yveltal directly. That you can't really use it as an ability. That you're not getting any kind of benefit from your ability unless you're in some kind of double battle, maybe a single battle with Xerneas and Yveltal, and even then you're going to be put at a fair disadvantage against them because Xerneas can just use Geomancy, and even with that power modifier, it's still going to be able to blow you up because you're a Dragon type Pokemon and it's a Fairy type Pokemon. So just naturally it's kind of rough. Now we can look at Zygarde as a Dragon Dance Garchomp in a way that at least you have more bulk. You can go full Adamant nature. You can get as much attack as possible, and now you have Dragon Dance. So you get speed, you get offensives. 289 after one Dragon Dance is going to outspeed a lot of Pokemon and give you a lot of power. But even then you don't have Dragon Claw. You're going to have to resort to Stone Edge or Rock Slide. Stone Edge with that accuracy, it's a bit tricky on that 8%. A lot of people run it, so I'll put it out there. Rock Slide is still a decent option, and then you just have Earthquake and Extreme Speed. Earthquake, if you Dragon Dance once, you get the outspeed, you get the Earthquake in your favor, you get a lot of strength. You're going to be hitting really hard. But again, it's like you don't have an ability or anything like that. You can run Lumberry because people like burning Pokemon that set up Dragon Dance. If you go Dragon Dance, they try to burn you. Lumberry procs, well, you just got free setup, and that can work out really well. Now Zygarde had Mold Breaker, that would be cool, or like an enhanced Mold Breaker, like Aura Break breaks the molds of every Pokemon, but then exclusively makes it to where Dark Aura or negated or something like that. You can also run Life Orb if you just want the damage, you know. Dragon Dance, boost it up, go for that, and then maybe even carry Pain Split. I don't know, because I'm trying to figure out ways of getting health back from the Life Orb burn. Because if you take a hit, set up the Dragon Dance, then you're outspeeding, you might only have a couple hits in you before Life Orb takes you down. And with Earthquake, Stone Edge, and Extreme Speed, Expert Belt isn't going to do anything for you because you're not hitting a lot of super effectives, and most of them are just going to be stabbed anyways. So from here you can run Outrage. Crunch is going to help out with coverage. Extreme Speed is just really strong priority that you really can't give up this kind of strong priority. And as long as you don't have a Flying type or Levitate Pokemon, Earthquake is going to crush through a lot of things. And that's kind of it. That you do have a limited move pool that you can get resisted out. The Dragonite, you know, gets all the elemental punches. It doesn't have to worry about any Pokemon in theory, but Zygarde is just kind of stuck to Dragon Dance and not hitting Flying type Pokemon. So that's kind of it. So that's how you use Zygarde. At least we got. Oh wait, also Double Battles, right? So Double Battles, Land's Wrath is really interesting because it's an Earthquake that hits the adjacent foes, but none of your allies at 10 less power. So it's a slightly less powerful Earthquake, but you can just always play around it. You can have Earthquake and then a Flying type or Levitate. So while it's an interesting idea, it doesn't bring too much to Zygarde, and the damage is still getting split with Zygarde's low attack, so you're not going to accomplish too much. Still have Glare, you can hit both phones with Rock Slide, Extreme Sweep for priority. Maybe instead of that, you can have Dragon Dance. Hope you don't get one shot. Set up Dragon Dance, go to Land's Wrath, swing from there, and that's kind of it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you all have a nice day. Welcome back, Wolfpack Rollers here, and this is how to use Corsola. Well, we had a good run. That, you know, Mamoswine, Weavile, Gliscor, these Pokemon are used quite a bit, and then get some Pokemon Corsola. These stats not even show off here. 55 on hit points is going to take away a lot of your dreams of being a tank. 85 in the defenses, all good. Again, those hit points not that great. 55 attack, 60. The stats here are pretty tricky to use. Now we can come up with some sets. It's just not going to be as optimized as it could be on other Pokemon. So just keep that in mind as we go and look at the other things like its Rock Water typing. 4 times weakness to Grass, 2 times weakness to Electric, 2 times weakness to Ground, and 2 times weakness to Fighting. Water Ground is such a better typing because you only have to worry about that Grass weakness, and then you know you're still very weak against Electric and Ground and Fighting. That's just kind of very tough with that Rock Water typing. And then your resistances, at least you have a decent amount of resistances. Fire, Poison, Ice, Flying, Normal. It's going to be all right, but those are some pretty threatening weaknesses nonetheless. Hopping into Pokemon Showdown, I was thinking that the first idea for Corsola is as a regenerator physical wall kind of Pokemon. Bring it in, Stealth Rocks. If something isn't physical, just leave. That if you can like at least tank up some physical hits with this. Take too much damage, you can switch out. Regenerator is going to activate, and that is one good thing that Corsola has going for it. That not a lot of Pokemon have Regenerator, and it does work with a team comp that's trying to switch out. That if you set up Stealth Rocks, and you try to put your opponent in an uncomfortable situation, they switch out. You can switch in, take damage, you can switch out, heal up with Regenerator, and something like that can work out. And with Corsola, you just kind of go in against physical Pokemon, use Scald, go for the burn, use Agent Power. Maybe you'll get a defense or offensive boost. Like you can get the boost from that. You're going to get Stab, and then you can just use Recover. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about with this Bold Nature, 2v2, put the other point in Special Attack that way you do just a little bit more damage, and just hope for the best and just try to tank out your opponent. As long as you don't see anything too super effective, you can just kind of get that setup going. As long as you have Stealth Rocks and Regenerator, you might be able to loop your opponent. You might be able to just make them feel a little bit of discomfort with the Corsola on your team, and that's the real victory right there. So some other things, you can just run Special Defense. That you go Calm Nature, and then you just max out, and then you just go for that Scald, or you don't really care too much. And now you're a Special Defensive Regenerator Pokemon, and that's just kind of the idea I had, just to show the other side. Because Corsola, since it does have like even defenses, you can go either or, and you can play around your team however you need to like that. So Special Defensive Regenerator Pokemon, not bad at all. Also, Corsola does get access to Barrier and Amnesia. You can do it the other way around. That with the defense boost by 2 on Barrier, put that on the Special Defense set. With the Amnesia giving you +2 Special Defense, put that on the physical set. You can take out something like Ancient Power and just go for that Scald. So if you see something that's a physical Pokemon, that's when you start setting up for special attackers. If they switch out because they really can't handle you too well as a physical attack, you might have doubled your Special Defense or even a little more by then. And then that's when you just kind of out recover them, go for that Scald burn, try to chip in the damage. Maybe you can also take out Stealth Rocks if you already have a Stealth Rock Pokemon, and that's really what Corsola is going to want to do. That you can come in, maybe set up, maybe get tanky. No promises on that, but if it does, you know, Ancient Power is just going to benefit you from there. Scald, chip damage. If you get the burn, that's really all you need to just kind of stall out your opponent through recovers. And now you're actually doing some work with Corsola. You can still safely switch out to a degree if you see a Grass type Pokemon, because Regenerator is going to let that happen, and then you just can get in and set up again if you really need to. So supporting Corsola against its weaknesses might also be a pretty decent key to success. And then we just kind of have a set idea. You know, we can go for Toxic and Scald. So you want Toxic Pokemon that you can. If you can't, Scald them. So Poison type Pokemon, Steel type, you want to burn them. For Fire type Pokemon and others, you just want Toxic them. Then you recover them through the Barrier with the Special Defense boost. And that's really what Corsola is. That's all that Corsola is going to be able to do. Generic Toxic style Pokemon with a defensive boost, or just some kind of set chip away Pokemon. And it does have Regenerator, so at least you have a Pokemon that has some flexibility in battle to kind of just shift around your opponent's team, and you might make it work. So if you guys enjoyed the video, that's how you use Corsola, and I hope you all have a nice day.
Introducing the all-new Passport Trail Sport, fully redesigned with available
Welcome back, Wolfpack Rollers here, and this is how to use Luxray. So Luxray is a Pokemon that on the surface has some really solid base stats. 80 on the hit points, 80 on both defenses, so we're gonna have some natural tankiness, and depending if we invest in that or not, we're gonna be able to survive at least a awesome sweeper, but at least we have a lot of damage. Here is the curse of electric type Pokemon. Their coverage is really weak. Actually, let's go to Bulbapedia really quick, where I can just kind of show you know electric, and not really too much else. You know, the electric type Pokemon, they generally get a single beam. They generally, that's it for like offenses. While people will look at Luxray and say, well, you can use special attacks on it. Your special attack options are going to be severely limited, mostly just Hidden Power and Thunderbolt or Volt Switch or something. And even then, physically, the only other things that you get are Fire Fang and Crunch, so you don't have that great diversity, but you still have a lot of power. I was thinking we just go bulk choice spam. Max out the hit points, max out the attack, you take a hit, you throw a crazy one back, and depending on how it goes, it can work out really well. Now, we also do have other elemental things, so we get to branch in this coverage, but Ice Fang, Fire Fang, they have low base power, so you're going to have to use them for those 4 times super effective hits, or they're not really going to give too much to you. Also, Ice and Electric, you're hitting flying type Pokemon, the stab with something like Wild Charge is going to be good, but unfortunately, as a physical electric attacker, Wild Charge is going to be your best option, and it deals recoil to you. So that is something to worry about. And then we can kind of look at some other options. So Ice Fang, you can go to Fire Fang, you can go into Facade. I've seen people like the Facade because say you get burned, say something like that happens to you. You can play it off well. I know that you have superpower. As a choice Pokemon, you might just come in for specific counter matchups and then switch out. So you bring in Luxray with superpower. That's going to just give you a lot of really diverse coverage, but it is going to weaken you afterwards. So you might have to switch out, or you might have to hope you're going against a special attacker and play through on super effective hits. So actually, you just use superpower again. So it does give you some limited options, but it is a very high, very risk, very damaging move, and you can kind of use it like that. As for the ability, I like Intimidate on this. Since you're going to be that bulk attacker, you bring in Luxray against a physical Pokemon, you take a hit, it's going to be nerfed by that Intimidate, and even after using Wild Charge, you still might find yourself around that 50% hit point range, which means you can use Wild Charge twice potentially, get like a KO off of that and a little extra. So that's going to be good. Luxray is going to be a Pokemon that definitely can benefit from a Sticky Web if you are speed investing it. So you take off the hit point investment, go into speed. As for Jolly or something like that, I don't feel that giving it the speedy nature is going to help too much. Just stick with the high amounts of attack. Now, when we look at Luxray from a tanky aspect, it's actually not that bad. 80s across the board. Depending on how you're investing with the Pokemon, you don't really fall too short of Arcanine. 10 less base hit points and then 1 on the defenses. So you are less on that kind of situation, but you can from a tanking aspect, it's actually not that bad. 80s across the board, depending on how you're investing it, it can become a bulky Pokemon, and you don't really fall too short of Arcanine. 10 less basic points and then 1 on the defenses, so you are less on that kind of situation, but you can still make it work out pretty well. So I was thinking you just go for like Substitute, Roar, Toxic, and even though it's kind of a cheesy thing, and you expect better of, or like more offensive of a Pokemon with 120 attack, Luxray can still bulk out some moves really well, and against a Pokemon that's trying to set up or trying to like lead really weird, you just use that Substitute, you can use Toxic, you can roar them away, and this can also be good in the mid game. So you have a Stealth Rock set up, and they're trying to like go for some kind of sweep with a setup, you get behind that Substitute as they're setting up. They might not expect it for sure on a Luxray. I think that's what makes this really strong, is no one's going to expect it. So then they have to break your sub, or if they keep going for setup, you know, that's when you just roar them away, then you have Toxic on the follow-up, Toxic with the Stealth Rock's going to be pretty strong, and then damage options. Like really this is where we get into another weird damage situation, because Wild Charge, if you're trying to be a tanky Pokemon, you don't really want Wild Charge and sacrifice hit points, so you might want to go for coverage. Crunch is just going to be some solid coverage overall, but not a lot of damage. Thunderfang, you do get Thunderfang, but low base power. Stab is going to pull up the base power just a bit, but it's mostly like a lot of chip damage. So you're just going to be trying to like roar sub people out, and if your substitute's still up after they're trying to set up, you know, you're just looking for a little bit of chip damage, and then you can Thunderfang and Toxic them down until you get knocked out. And hopefully, in the end, Luxray did enough to like really support you. That they removed a very high setup threat, and they also got a lot of damage, which could equate to winning off of just being this bulky sub roar Toxic Pokemon. And while it is a crazy strategy, it can still work out pretty well. Other than that, I was thinking, why not in doubles, just having to support Luxray again? And as I looked more into the support Luxray idea, I really started to like it because you still have a lot of bulk. And with this, I was thinking Modest Nature, Hidden Power Ice, and Discharge. This way that in doubles, you know, we're hitting a lot with Discharge. You use that Hidden Power Ice for specific matchups like Garchomp, Landorus, Salamence, which are very common Pokemon in doubles, and then Baby Doll Eyes. Now you come in with the Intimidate, so you already lower the attack, and then you just use Baby Doll Eyes on other Pokemon that you really don't feel you're going to get much damage against. So you say Kangaskhan, Baby Doll Eyes, lowers the target's attack by 1. Now the interesting thing about it is it has a +1 priority. So really here you're just using your bulk to intimidate into the Baby Doll Eyes, you can protect, and then you're just supporting your Pokemon next to you. Have that be a Mega Pokemon, have that be a Pokemon that's also ground type potentially, or at least carries protect that way you can discharge safely, and then you're really looking to make it to where their physical attackers aren't damaging you at all. You can maybe switch out Luxray, bring it back in for more Intimidate, go into that Baby Doll Eyes on just the physical attackers, maybe have a high special defensive bulky Pokemon or an assault best Pokemon. That way they're really not going to take much, and then you have Hidden Power Ice and Discharge. Also, Luxray does get access to Snarl, so you can also use Snarl to lower attack and special attack, and now you just have this bulky Luxray dealing a decent amount of damage while throwing out, you know, the attack and special attack drops, and even then you don't even have to be the modest and stuff, you can have another defensive spread. I was thinking Impish Nature on this set, but if we're wanting to go with the double set, we probably have to go with a Bold Nature. Bold Nature is going to make it so we lose attack instead of special attack, and then we can just kind of play however we want. Maybe more, it's actually kind of tough though, because since we're coming in with that Intimidate, we don't need heavy defensive investment, but still pretty good because we are trying to shut down physical Pokemon, and we are going to have to endure special attacks until we get those Snarls going. So Snarl Discharge is also pretty decent, which means maybe just go defensive nature again and then put the rest in special defense. That way we have a lot of underlying bulk in both of them, and then we're just really trying to cycle after the opponents. We're dropping both their special attacks, we're dropping both their attack, we can single out attack before they can even use an attack, and that's going to be your support Luxray. I feel like that's where Luxray is going to find the most success. As for the last set, I was thinking, alright, let's just go Thunder Wave, because Thunder Wave is going to make you faster than your opponent. You paralyze them, then you go for the damage, and then you hopefully win. Now also this is going to be really good because Life Orb does increase your damage, not as much as Choice Band, but also gives you a lot of freedom to attack. So if you have that freedom, then that way you find that super effective hit. You're not forced out because you have an unfair Choice Band matchup, and then you can still get a lot of damage across. So Intimidate again, if you want to play that bulk side, come in, intimidate them, Thunder Wave them, and now since they're intimidated, they're not going to be able to do a lot of damage. You 2 KO them, and you still have a lot of speed. Potentially if you have enough hit points left, you can still use the Thunder Wave, and now you're at least kind of weakening your opponent, maybe getting a little bit of extra damage, and you're at least being a 1-for-1 plus, or maybe a little better. Also again, this kind of shows that you can maybe mix it around, just go with speed investment or Sticky Web, that can be very powerful, and it's really just going to be Crunch, Wild Charge, and whatever other move. Now the interesting thing with Ice Fang is that, you know, Earthquake is a huge threat. Now with the hit point investment and Intimidate, you do have a chance of surviving the Earthquake, so you're not really worrying about the Thunder Wave, use Ice Fang, and then you're just going to use that for the win. But also you have Fire Fang. Fire Fang is going to be good for taking out Ferrothorn, taking out Scizor, and this is just kind of like a generic thing, you know. Do you choose the fire? Do you choose the red pill? Do you choose the blue pill? Do you want to hit fire? Do you want to hit ice? And depending on which one you want, it's going to be really good. Fire Fang can have its drawbacks though. You hit a Ferrothorn, that's a lot of Iron Barb's recoil, that's going to be a lot of recoil from potentially a Rocky Helmet. However, it is enough damage to knock out a majority of Ferrothorns, unless they're like full defensive investment. You're going to have a hard time, but they can still two-shot them because of the Ferrothorn, so you can find out speeds there, you can find a lot of damage, and it's really like you're going to find success on either Fire Fang or Ice Fang from time to time. It's really the one that you feel that you need the coverage for. That if you already have some ice on your team, maybe go with the Fire Fang, and if you already have fire, maybe go with the Ice Fang. That we can use Luxray as your coverage, as well as just your weakening Pokemon. That with Thunder Wave and Wild Charge, a lot of damage, Thunder Wave and Crunch, a lot of extra coverage, and then the Thunder Wave, you know, if you paralyze 2 Pokemon on your opponent's side of the team, Luxray's already done enough that can maybe lead to a sweep in the end of the game. So I hope you guys enjoy. Oh wait, not time for the end of the video just yet, because let's talk about Guts Luxray. I don't think Guts is that great honestly, because the Intimidate utility very strong. Rivalry is a bit risky, but unless you're playing like female Pokemon, since most of the Pokemon in the game are males, Rivalry could work out, but I just don't like that risk. And then we're looking at Guts, you have to sacrifice your items. So that means, you know, you don't have Life Orb, you don't have Choice Band, you don't have Choice Scarf if you want to run it, and then you're just going to be taking damage. So the recoil from Wild Charge, the recoil from a Burn Orb, or a little bit of extra attacking while you're also being the slowest Pokemon on the field, I think it's just too much residual damage and you're not going to gain enough from it. So I don't feel Guts is good. Other than that, Luxray. I think it's more of a supportive Pokemon or more of a bulk attacker, and you're going to find the most success there with it. So if you guys enjoyed the video, that's how you use Luxray, and I hope you all have a nice day. Welcome back, Wolfpack Verlis here, and this is how to use Mewtwo and Mewtwo-Y, since they're pretty much kind of the same. So when we look at Mewtwo stats, we see a